All right, folks, welcome back to BEG Wrestling. We are here with none other than Sarah Hildebrandt, the United States representative here at the Paris 2024 Olympics, 50 kilograms. Sarah, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Oh, I'm excited. Got a lot of energy, so.
I can tell.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Now, first question I have to ask you, Don Parrish told me to ask you, are you still in your bread making phase?
Oh, no, which is such a sad thing to report.
Really?
But I know. Okay, I got into it before the pandemic, so I know it became a big thing for people during the pandemic, but I was on it early, did it through the pandemic, and then having a sourdough starter is like having a child. Like, you got to take care of it. And I was just on the road too much before the last Olympics, and I'm like, I can't
having a what?
maintain this. A sourdough starter. You got to feed it, let it, it grows really big, then you got to discard some, feed it some more. Timing is so a thing. I would like wake up at like 2:30 in the morning to like turn my dough if I was making something. It was ridiculous. It was taking over my life.
Wow, you just blew my mind. I know nothing about bread making.
It's a whole world, yeah.
But I can't imagine making all that bread is probably good for
right. And then on top of that, I didn't get to eat any of it. Exactly. I would wake up and crack a dawn and then not even get to enjoy it. So
yeah.
No, sad to report.
All right,
no
well,
bread from me.
That's very interesting,
but not for much longer. I'll probably go back one day.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you about what after these Olympics, but before I do that, third in 2020 Olympics,
yes.
right? Didn't sound like you were coming back, and then you get third, and you're back.
I'm back.
What is different now than 4 years ago?
Oh gosh, so much so that at least I've started to question, like, are you, like, going into Olympic trials, I was like, are we on the right path? Because this feels so different from last time. But I think, it's tempting to want things to be the same, but I knew I didn't reach my ultimate goal. I needed to change, I needed to evolve. So the fact that it felt different, even though it was scary, was probably a good sign too, because it's like, okay, we maybe have grown, But yeah, I was so disciplined to a flaw in 2020 and just, robotic, mechanical, just no personality. I felt like I didn't have a life. And that's not what I want wrestling to be. So just injecting some intuitiveness back into my personality and fun, playfulness, not taking myself so seriously, has been so huge and very important to me. So
yeah. Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
But understandably so, right? Your first Olympics, or in 2020, the nerves, and understandably now you're coming in more relaxed.
Yeah.
Mentally stronger and physically?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness,
okay.
Yeah. I've adjusted to the weight so much more, coming down to 50. That was my first time going into the Olympics, really. It was the first year being there. And now I've been there for, 3 years, just gotten used to the weight cut, understanding how big I can get or how long it takes to get back down, and just giving me a lot more freedom in that sense.
I have to go back to just, you've talked about how different it is this year than in 2020. What has been, you seem like you're having fun right now.
Yeah.
Today you seem like you're having fun. What's been the most difficult part of getting to this point?
Trusting that, like sports culture really advertises this grindy, hard mentality, and everyone tells you this, and I was praised for that, and I saw it work. So to see it work, to be praised for it, and then be like, no, is so scary. Like, you had to let go of that and trust your intuition, which is not black and white. It's very gray. You're stepping into a completely unknown territory, one that people might even question, like, ooh, wait, are you sure that's what you want to be doing? And you're like, oh, is it what I want to be doing? So that's really hard, and it's taken this whole entire quad to get there. And I remember in 2022 first trying to do that, but I didn't have the endurance around that skill yet, and I tried to revert back to my old ways, but I remember that put me in a really horrible slump. Like, I could tell inside that was wrong. That's not where I wanted to be, that I was actually limiting myself, and trying to go back to that, mentally and emotionally, my body was like, absolutely not. You have to take this step forward. And so it really put me in a down slump for a long time, because it was like, I knew what I needed to do, but I couldn't quite do it. And I would try to do something like I used to do it, and it felt icky, just didn't, align with me. So it's just been a process, really, and making sure I'm surrounding people around me who, you know, see that process and understand it. Yeah.
So it sounds to me like you're better now and you're having more fun.
Like, what a win.
I mean, it kind of leads my next question. So going into these Olympics, what are you going to be satisfied with? Can't be just gold, right? I mean.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's been a process, is kind of releasing these external goals, which, you know, look, I think the cool thing about Olympic athletes is they can balance this idea of Olympic gold medal and simultaneously understanding that it's not about the Olympic gold medal. You know, how can you take something like that and it mean two polar opposite things? Like, how can I combine those meanings? And I think that's the really, really beautiful thing about Olympic sports, is like those top people, that's exactly what they're doing. And so, yeah, I've just been working a lot on that, and just, you know, I have a lot of values that I try to lead with every single day, and I want that authentic expression of those values and my philosophies to be on display when I step on the mat. And if I can do that, that's a win to me. And I also think those are things that will help lead to the best chance of that medal anyway. So, you know, that's kind of where my mind is at, and just kind of living each day with those values in mind, you know, authentically and with a lot of awareness. And I don't think you
come across a very authentic person to
thanks.
me. So, no, that's
Appreciate
great.
It.
Now, I have to ask you, there's a recent explosion in women's wrestling. I'm predicting it's just going to absolutely explode. So I'm just asking everyone, I want to hear your story about how you got into wrestling initially, because I think there might be young women out there who might appreciate hearing that.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, it's exploded. It's so cool. Okay, so I started wrestling. So I was trying to start a girls' intramural program in my middle school, to no avail. Nobody wanted to come out for the girls' wrestling intramural, which is fine and dandy. But so it actually just worked out by chance. So the smallest weight class in middle school was 75 pounds. They didn't have anybody small enough to be on the team. My older brother had just gone through the program. He was very talented. So the coach was like familiar with my family. And then there was me like popping up being like, can we start a women's team? Can we start a women's team? And they were like, no. But they were like, oh my gosh, you know, I just weighed 60 pounds soaking wet. You know what I mean? They're like, you just go out on the mat, don't get pinned. I'm like, okay, you know, now I'm getting ready for my second Olympics.
Wow, that is incredible. I mean, so yeah, and I mean, that's not the first story I've heard where basically it's almost like the opportunity wasn't there. And now that these opportunities are coming up and stories like yours are being told, to me, I'm predicting it's going to explode. Now, next question. After you win this gold medal, what's the first thing you do?
Oh my goodness. Okay, my whole family and then some is going to be in Paris. So I'm going with them, and I'm getting like every pastry I can lay my little grubby fingers on. And just enjoying time with them and eating a lot of food. Definitely food and wine and champagne.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Live it up there in Paris.
Exactly.
You kind of touched on my final question here. You already got into your bread making ability. You taught me a thing or two, but tell us something else you do for fun outside of wrestling.
Ooh.
A little bit about Sarah Hildebrandt.
Okay, I'm a big reader. I read a lot.
Okay.
But I also live in Colorado, and my brother, who is a national park ranger, just moved out there, is training with me. And yeah, he's a national park ranger, so he's always, you know, taking me out and about, hiking around. And I just like to be out with nature, you know, put my feet in the dirt, just, yeah, having a good time with that.
A tight-knit family.
Yes. At
Beaver Dam RTC. You know that's my last name, right? Beaver.
Really?
That's why I'm promoting it.
Oh, you're like...
Hey, folks. Sarah, you've been incredible. I want to wish you the best of luck. Guys, Sarah's going to be representing the United States of America in Paris 2024 Olympics, 50 kilograms.
Let's go.
Sarah, thank you for coming on, and best of luck. You've been incredible.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Thank you.